And so we welcome ourselves in this circle of time together, taking refuge in the enlightened one of the Buddha and the other Buddhas who went before, the latest one, Sakyamuni Buddha. And in the Dhamma, the teachings that were handed down that we can see firsthand by seeing clearly moment to moment. And the embracing of the Sangha, each other here, and those that have gone generations and generations before us, 2,600 years, passing down what the Buddha taught. And these profound teachings and practical wisdom of the Buddha are available to anyone who's interested, and it's with deep gratitude that I offer what I can to support the teachings of the Buddha in the present day. And I honor the teachers that have influenced me and the ability to share in our group whenever we meet. And so we take this time to settle into the body. We may notice various sensations arriving at the sense doors. We can take a moment to really come into our body, relaxing around the eyes, the forehead, the muscles behind the eyes, the temples. We can relax around the back of our throats, our jaw, letting a sense of calmness flow through the body, relaxing around the neck and the shoulders, the shoulder blades, flowing through our heart and our diaphragm, letting the diaphragm relax, and feeling our sits bones wherever we're sitting, letting gravity be present. We may feel the weight in our legs flowing down to our feet. We can feel the sensation of pressure with our feet against the floor. And so we inhabit our senses. We inhabit our body. And it's very easy to notice the breath at first as an easy place to start, to be in the present moment, noticing heat or cold, rough or smooth, long or short breath, pressure or lack of pressure. We may feel the diaphragm lift and let go. So we're just with each breath, noticing it arising, the length of it, and its passing away. And we can use this breath as a returning point if we find ourselves wandering too far away. We can gently wake up to the present moment if our mind is wandering, and notice what might be happening right then and there. If something might feel pleasant or unpleasant, the sensations of pleasant and unpleasant can generally be noticed as feeling, the feeling tone. And so use whatever anchor works for you, if it's the breath at the nostrils or the belly, or maybe it's a more spacious awareness, being present to what arises at each of the sense doors. We want mindfulness to be at the fore. Awareness is present. And we're stringing together moments of continuity of mindfulness. We might begin to notice as we settle into our body and the container of our breath, and we see what arises and falls sometimes in the mind, the sense door of the mind, of thought. We may have a direct experience of noticing the three characteristics of anicca and dukkha and anatta, that what arises is impermanent. And we cause ourselves suffering when we grasp onto something, or when we push it away, when we cling to it. And that we discover firsthand that this does not belong to us. It's not self. There's no real I or me or mine as we watch conditioned things arising and passing away. This anicca, dukkha, and anatta are the three simple truths that characterize all things. The Buddha said that all compounded phenomena disintegrate. All things are made of parts. All the parts fall apart, and they're impermanent. And we see that moment to moment as we watch the breath arise and pass away. And so it's not an intellectual thought. It's a direct experience. Anything that is compounded, that's assembled, will sooner or later come apart. And we realize this truth deep down. And that's what we can begin to see as liberation. Releasing from one-pointed, narrow-minded belief in permanence. And we see this moment to moment as we stay present with mindfulness and awareness. Wisdom arises to see these things clearly. We may notice the experience of dukkha sometimes, the quality of suffering, whether it's extreme pain, which sometimes we're aware of in our body as we're sitting, or it could just be a background sense of unease. Sometimes those kinds of things we don't think of them as painful, but they change. And so that means in the end that it's a source of pain if we're grasping. Emotions can sometimes be painful. They're impermanent and uncertain and accompanied by hopes and fears. And as long as we struggle to maintain a solid sense of self, our lives are marked by dukkha, by stress and by fear. And so this is part of the reason why we do samatha practice or a concentration practice and vipassana or insight meditation, because it helps loosen the grip of our emotions and what they have on us. And that's how we can begin to see that there's no solid, separate, single self, which can actually bring gladdening to the mind and joy to the mind when we have that momentary realization of not clinging and seeing attachment as it falls away. And so we remind ourselves and begin again and again, perhaps at the breath for developing concentration on the single object at the nostrils or the belly, or perhaps the entire breath body, the larger containment of feeling the breath flow in and out through the body. The breath as the whole body. And yet we're grounded. We hold ourselves in kindness without using a lot of effort, just enough energy to stay interested and aware in what's arising in the present moment. This is a heartfelt practice. We can hold the possibility of whatever our experience is in our hearts with acceptance, soft and spacious awareness towards whatever is occurring. And as we continue to see clearly what arises and passes away, our thought patterns can drop away and layers of judgment and resistance that we sort of define ourselves through these hard-held identities can relax. And the natural goodness of the heart can shine by itself. And we're cultivating the impulses to be aware and happy, compassionate and free, all coming from the goodness of our hearts and seeing clearly. Letting those skillful mind states be developed. Letting these intentions motivate our practice. We're developing the practice of generosity. The generosity of giving ourselves this time to be present with what's arising, to have mindfulness and awareness. See the characteristics of arising and passing away and the inability to cling. Sometimes we begin to understand where we're closed or where we're holding back, where we feel our fear. Sometimes we can learn what keeps us from being generous. We have kindness for ourselves, the generosity of being kind to ourselves and compassionate if things seem challenging or we're judging ourselves for something. We can just see it come and let it go and hold ourselves in kindness. We may experience the hindrances of grasping at something or pushing something away. We may have doubt in the practice. There might be anxiety in the mind or body. There may be tiredness, sloth and torpor. Each of these we can hold ourselves in kindness as we wake up to the present moment and have awareness be present without judgment. We have this generosity to ourselves for the purpose of giving to adorn and beautify our minds. And among some of these adornments are non-clinging, loving kindness, and concern and well-being for others. And so we sit gently, easefully, alert, cultivating mindfulness and awareness in the present moment, gladdening the mind at these skillful mind states that we're nurturing in each breath as it arises, in each experience that comes to a sense door. The breath may be what we use as the anchor to bring our attention to the present moment. And when the mind can rest easily with the present, sometimes we can let go of the breath as the special object, and the whole of the present moment becomes the focus. It's not that we want to become an expert at seeing our breath or obsessed with the breath. We're training the attention to focus on the present. And there's an open-hearted awareness of whatever is arising in the present moment. This includes feelings of the body, sounds, thoughts, and emotions that might arise. And in this training, we're letting them come, letting them take their shape, perform their function, and then dissolve and fade away. This is where insight comes in. With insight, we begin to train the mind and heart to be aware and to have insight into the fundamental nature of all experience, the arising and passing away. And we can see in every moment there's arising, an appearance, an abiding, a disappearance of sight and sound, smell, taste and touch, thought, feeling, emotion. It's an ongoing flow of all these different dimensions. These sensations arise, we experience them, and then they change. And within all of that and around all of that, there's a quality of all-embracing awareness, a quality of knowing that is attentive to that, attuned to what's going on and not reactive to it. And so in this process, sometimes of letting go of the breath and trying to allow the heart to be open to the flow of all the experience, sometimes it happens that we get swept up, caught up in a train of thought, even when initially the intention was just to watch the train of thought. Sometimes before we know it, we're swept away into that feeling. And when we find that happening, we can simply refocus on the breath, go back to the posture or touching of the buttocks on the cushion, see how we're holding our body. Are we tensed up or are we slumped over? We can bring the quality of balance back into the posture and let the power of attention itself help bring us back. Focus on the breath again to help bring the attention back to the present and calm everything down a little. And just begin again. We're developing qualities of stability and the focus of attention, reestablishing the present moment, letting go of the breath, allowing the whole field of the heart and mind to be open to the flow of the experience over and over and over again. Simply open to the present moment with mindfulness and awareness, knowing what's happening, without any kind of particular bias to how we want the experience to be or take shape or whether we want it to end. And so we have this openness, knowing as best we can, not grasping at anything or rejecting anything, attuning our heart and mind to the present moment here and now, seeing and finding out for ourselves how we need to adjust our meditation as we need to, what the right approach is for us, and being present, noticing when we're caught up in thinking or drifting all over the place, or is the mind chattering away, and we just bring it gently back with kindness, clarity, right view, seeing that all of this contributes when we notice skillful or unskillful activities happening in the mind. We can always incline the mind toward kindness and compassion for ourselves. Holding ourselves in loving kindness, wishing ourselves to be free from harm, safe and protected, and have ease in our lives. Sometimes we can invoke this kind of open-heartedness by finding a place in our heart and mind that we know we're comfortable in. It could be snuggled in your covers in your bed, or sitting in your favorite chair, or hearing something, a piece of music, or the water of the ocean, or a babbling brook. Any place that we can find to nurture ourselves for that kind of kindness for ourselves and for others. We can think of a friend that it's easy to send loving kindness to, wishing them to be free from harm and safe and protected and have ease in their lives. In whatever way you see a phrase or feel a feeling of letting this sense of metta, loving kindness, flow to a friend. We can let ourselves be held in kindness. Let this kindness flow through us, perhaps imagining a favorite place, a favorite feeling, maybe the sense of water flowing, or your favorite chair, or your cozy bed. Whenever you find a way of generating kindness, letting that kindness flow to ourselves, and letting it also flow to a friend. Imagining this friend happy and healthy, having a sense of their well-being. letting this kindness and metta flow to a benefactor, a teacher of ours, inclining our hearts and minds toward including them in a sense of peace and well-being, giving them metta and karuna, knowing that if things are challenging, may they hold themselves gently. And letting these thoughts of kindness flow to another friend. It could be someone in pain and sorrow, or someone in joy, or just a friend that you know it's easy to send loving kindness to. Feeling their being, including them in our container of our breathing body, the anchor of our body and our breath, including someone for whom it's easy to send kindness. Letting this well-being and ease also flow to a neutral person. Seeing this person happy and healthy. It may be a group of people, some who may be currently oppressed, struggling for freedom, or some who may be struggling for their lives, or those healthcare workers, social workers, people helping us continue in our lives to stay balanced, or those continuing to help others get through illnesses. Sending our loving kindness to the neutral person or neutral category. May you be free from harm, safe and protected, have ease and well-being. Inclining our heart-mind to include this neutral category. And finally, letting this kindness include those that we don't know, seen and unseen, those in suffering, those in joy, beings in all directions, to the north and the east, to the south and to the west. May all beings everywhere, those that swim and fly and crawl, walk, may they be free from harm, safe and protected, have ease and well-being, take care of themselves happily. May the merit of our practice benefit all sentient beings. Anicca vata sankhara upadavaya domino upakitawa meruchanti te samvapasamo sukho. All conditioned things are subject to impermanence. They arise and pass away. And seeing this clearly through mindfulness brings the greatest happiness. Which is peace. Letting this softness of heart and mind stay mindful as you gently open your eyes, move your body. Maybe you move to put glasses on or change your position or drink some water. Just staying mindful while we take a little short break. I'll try to make sure my dog doesn't keep barking. I think it only happened once though.